theater can speak more, and the music in concert can have its own visual image, or by any way, people can get to understand classical music more. This is how the idea of concert theater starts, where concert and theater are presented side by side, with musicians playing alongside actors on the stage. Different from how the music is used in traditional theater, as an atmosphere, soundtrack, or fitting music. The music in concert theater is designed with its own integrity and expressed as another language, speak with the spoken language.
Of course it wasn't a child, but it's not entirely sentimental to say it wouldn't have been a child. Nothing else.
How can I help being jealous?
Said you wouldn't.
How can I help it?
Because I can't bear it.
You wish you'd had his child.
Of course I don't want his degenerate
I
child.
could have kept it. I told you at the time I would have accepted it as a child of the family.
And loved it like Ellie. And what would people have said? Even the law says it's right in the case of rape.
Sonata Movements is one piece made up of 4 different plays, so they're put together in the form of a sonata, and we have 4 sections, but it is also 4 completely independent stories, which for me makes an interesting directing challenge because you're creating one coherent piece out of 4 plays. The reason that I find this particularly exciting working with something like concert theatre is that whether you're watching a play or watching a piece of music, everyone has chosen to gather in the room together that evening and experience something about the world and something about life together. And so when you're watching the story of someone who either wants or doesn't want company, and you're watching that in the company of other people, it's a very exciting structure to play with, because you're reminding people that they're watching a version of themselves on stage. And it makes them look at themselves as much as they look at the other characters and the musicians in front
The smoke and fog of a December afternoon, you have the scene arranged itself.
In Sonata Movements, I try to discover different ways to join the music with text. Sometimes the music and the text speak softly to each other.
Cold outside. Colder than last year. And the year before, radio said.
Sometimes the words really go with the music rhythmically.
Danny, my mate from down the road, whose mum won't let him out to play after 6, because that's when he has his tea, knocked it over. So he had to go in and I had to get...
And sometimes the music is the sound and the underlying text of the play.
And then the telephone. He went on ringing the entire evening. I'll never forget it. There wasn't time to knit so much as one row between calls, crying and saying he was going to kill himself, so we finally had to leave the phone off. And then the door went.
Has been a really exciting process. One of the biggest things that I learned about it very early on was that it needs to be a very physical process, which is exciting because having worked in music and in theatre, I've always thought about the fact that physical connection is the real fundamental, and it's what differentiates theatre from film, it's what makes live performance exciting. So there's been some very interesting rehearsals so far, with lots of people having to move around the room in tandem and remember that they're physically connected to one another even when they're sitting very far apart. It's also exciting because the music becomes another character, and the musician becomes another character in the space. And so although you never forget that you're watching a concert and a piece of theatre, there are times when they completely blend together and we understand suddenly so much more about the play because the music is the voice, it's the elephant in the room, or it's the voice that they're all trying to ignore, or it's the voice that they desperately beg for. and that they need it, and when they get it, it makes everything okay again. So it's been really, it makes very rich theatre, because it's like you put an emotional depth into words and actions, and then with music you add a sense of story and character to really, really strong raging emotion. It's a very beautiful marriage.
And I must borrow every changing shape to find expression. Dance. Dance like a dancing bear. Cry like a parrot. Chatter like an ape. Let us take the air in a tobacco trance. Well, and what if she should die some afternoon? Afternoon grey and smoky. Evening, yellow and rose. Should die and leave me sitting, pen in hand, with the smoke coming down above the housetops.